Hello, everybody. Bonsoir. So tonight we're going to be talking with our guest Elizabeth Kelly in a few minutes. So we're just having a little sip of wine because it's wine in real estate.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to talking with Elizabeth because
Yep.
and she's also a real estate investor, and she lives in Kirkland Lake.
Kirkland Lake, yeah, great North Pole, I think.
So it's exciting to see somebody who doesn't live just in the GTA area and just kind of.
But she is from the GTA.
Well, she's from the GTA, but she's been converted.
Yes.
Just to see what's happening in other areas. Maybe she's investing in the GTA. I don't know, but
That would be funny.
yeah.
But
Living in Kirkland Lake, but investing in GTA, I don't know.
But they do say to do that. So normally you live there and you rent. So.
Yeah, you rent.
Oh, there's Elizabeth. So we're gonna ask you to join. So there you go. It was great earlier, and now, whoops. There you go. To hear more. I met Elizabeth very briefly February last year at the OREC, Ottawa Real Estate Conference.
Oh,
Good evening.
Elizabeth.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you doing?
Good.
So Jennifer, my
Yes,
wife.
nice to meet you. Fausto was telling me a little bit about you.
Hi, nice to meet you too. How are you guys doing? Did you get any snow like everybody else in the GTA today?
Yeah, but we're in Ottawa. We got about 15 centimeters.
So for us, it's like a sprinkling. But I know GTA, they were like, "Oh, it's the end of times." I'm like, "What?" It's barely any snow.
Oh.
I'm exaggerating a little bit, but
Yeah, Fausto has a good sense of exaggeration.
yes.
Oh, that's okay.
But
Is this your biggest snow that you've had so far this year?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not 15; it's more like 25. I shoveled it myself, so.
Well, I shoveled
Oh, you
it
shoveled
at
at
my
work.
work. Yes,
That's
so
right.
I know.
So 15 at work, but here it seemed taller. So there you go. Perspective.
Perfect. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So Fausto said that you're the smoothie queen.
Well, I don't know about that. I certainly love my smoothies, and I drink a couple a day. But if that makes me the queen, then I'll own it and enjoy it.
There you go. Do you have an evening smoothie or?
Typically, I'll actually have. So this is my smoothie for tonight. You can see my.
Cool. It looks very nice.
Yeah. Thanks. It's banana, blueberry, and banana, blueberry, and pineapple. So that's dessert for tonight.
Ooh, we're having grape smoothies.
Oh, nice. So what are you guys drinking tonight? What's on the menu?
It's a Shiraz.
Yeah, it's our
Yeah, it's kind of our go-to. So
it's our house wine. We buy it in huge containers.
Like boxes,
liters.
kind of large containers?
16 liters. Yeah, we should show it one time. It's really bad. We have a tap in our pantry.
I think that there's some things that you're just supposed to keep secret.
No, this one's out too bad.
I know. Fausto doesn't keep any secrets, Elizabeth.
No.
Oh, well, that's good to know. Maybe there's a disclaimer I should have signed or something before tonight that said secrets are not allowed.
So tell us, for people who don't know you online, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do.
Sure. My name's Elizabeth Kelly, and I am a property manager, a coach. I have a rent-to-own company, and I'm a real estate investor as well in Kirkland Lake for the most part.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
wow,
that's
that's
where you
awesome.
invest. That's what we were debating. She's like, maybe you invest in the GTA. I'm like, nah, I don't think so. I know she's from there, but yeah.
So I will buy single family homes in the GTA to either do flips or to do rent to owns. But when I'm looking for multi-unit buildings, I'm definitely out of the GTA just because the cash flow isn't high enough for what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And some people have done really well, and some people buy condos. And I think a lot of times it's really about doing a risk analysis. Your cash flow in larger markets is going to be less, but you're going to have the offside of potentially higher appreciation and more buyers when you're ready to sell. So real estate is very much a risk versus reward analysis, and everybody has a different perspective, and it's not a one size fits all, which is one of the things I love the most about real estate. What works for you guys might not work for me, but that's okay because my journey is different and my end goals are different. So
That's
I find sometimes too things happen for a reason. Like I was born in Halifax. I grew up in Scarborough. I got married and I moved to Newmarket. Like I've always lived in big cities. And when we moved to Kirkland Lake a few years ago, I discovered that I was actually a small town girl in a big town world.
Oh, wow.
Jennifer as well. She's from, well, she was born
Well, we're
in,
both from small towns.
yeah, I was born in Toronto, believe it
Yes.
or not. And I grew up in
Really?
Ontario, small town, Hawkesbury, so it's an hour
Okay.
east of Ottawa.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer's from St. Thomas, near London,
Yeah, very small town.
but she grew
Yeah.
up in Toronto, Mississauga, Etobicoke. And then she's also a small town girl, like she doesn't like
I don't
crowds.
like crowds. I don't like going. I don't like Costco. I don't like Walmart. I don't like-
giant tigers.
Anyway, that's a total sideline. So kind of bring us back. What made you go from like the big cities to Kirkland Lake? Like what made you do the jump?
Well, we bought properties in Kirkland Lake anticipating having, a property manager who would look after them for us. And, we'd just come up, every once in a while and kind of check on them and make sure everything was okay. And then we figured out that we have some expectations of kind of how things are done. And when you hire someone who provides a full service, they don't always look super kindly on you coming in and going, yeah, that's fine that you do it that way, but I want you to do it this way.
Yeah.
So it didn't take us long to figure out that, we really would be better off if we opened our own property management company and had our staff, so then we could train them to do things the way we wanted it done. So we did that in, I guess, around 2012, maybe. We started our company 2011, something like that, and then we've just kind of grown from there. And then about 5 years ago, people were looking at Kirkland Lake and they were seeing that the numbers made sense and that you could get some really good cash flow in town. So then they started asking us if we'd manage for them, and then we've kind of expanded from there. Now we have a construction division, and then of course we have the property management, and we can provide everything from basic maintenance all the way up to large scale renos, permits, and everything else. So
Wow.
That's awesome, and it's so great that you're real estate investors, because you really will understand kind of how people want the property to be managed, because if you're not, then it kind of
Yeah, it really, it can go south very
yes,
quickly.
we totally feel you.
Yeah.
So why Kirkland Lake? Was it just the attraction of the cash flow, or was there a certain reasoning for that specific area? Is there some specific reason why it's better than another?
Mining town or
Yeah, what's happening in Kirkland Lake?
Well, so we originally were interested because we started running numbers and the numbers really made sense. And then from there, we kind of said, okay, let's take a look at the fundamentals of the economy here and make sure that, you would never want to buy in a town just because, okay, I can get cash flow, but it's got none of the other fundamentals you're looking for. So we were really focused on, what is the economic base in town, and, what does our avatar look like for our tenants, and those kinds of things. So we looked at a number of different things. We looked at the economy, we looked at the vacancy rate, we looked at the primary employers in town, and it's really a very calculated decision in terms of what you're looking for. Like if you want to be an investor in Toronto, you're a small fish in a huge pond, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have a really good handle for the most part on, what's going on in the marketplace. Whereas, having the number of units that we manage, we have a pretty good idea for the most part of what's going on in town. And we really look at it from the perspective of, it doesn't matter who owns the building, whether it's one of our JV partners, whether it's us, whether it's one of our investor clients, we treat out every building the same way. So we've sort of brought like the big town Toronto property management, but we've brought it to a smaller market where we feel like we have more control over what's going on and how things are run. We have a local landlord association, so we do our best to support each other and to educate each other and to make sure that that we're really holding people accountable, because that's one of the biggest challenges I think facing landlords right now, is holding people accountable for decisions they make when they're in your building, whether it's as a tenant or as a guest.
Yeah.
That's so important. Yeah, absolutely.
In Ontario, for sure. Yes.
So
Yeah.
what's the population of Kirkland Lake?
Depends on who you talk to, somewhere between 8 and 10,000. The interesting thing about Kirkland Lake, though, is because of the presence of the mines, and Kirkland Lake Gold is obviously the largest mine in town, but there's a number of other ones, you know, within a sort of 45-minute radius where Kirkland Lake is the only place it really makes sense to live. And then people live here and they'll drive. But a lot of the mines have shifts. So some of the shifts might be 14 on, 14 off. So there's people who fly in from various places across the country to work their 14 on, and then they fly home again. But they're going to need a place to live. They don't necessarily want to pack everything up and take it all home again with them. So even though they don't have, you know, Kirkland Lake on their driver's license, there's a large chunk of people in town who are renting places, even though this isn't their primary residence. This would be the secondary place where they come to work.
Oh.
And those people are, for the most part, they're great. They're great tenants to have. You know, they have good jobs, they have good incomes, they take care of the place. They just, you know, they work 12 hours a day, they come home, they sleep, they get up, they do it again. They do it 14 days in a row, and then they leave.
They drink smoothies to stay sane.
So does that bring on a lot of short and medium term rentals, or are they renting long term and still
doing all that?
It depends. It depends sort of, you know, how long they've been with the company and what their experience is. Definitely, I think one of the things that we've done a really good job of doing is identifying needs within the market and pivoting to be able to address those needs in a timely manner. So, you know, for example, we have a large commercial building and we have short-term stay rooms available there. So for, you know, $700 a month, someone can have a room, and, you know, it's a shared kitchen, and it's a shared washroom depending on, you know, their choice of rooms. But, you know, for $700 a month, they don't have to worry about anything. You know, there's no snow removal, there's no, you know, all their utilities are included, Wi-Fi, cable, like everything's there. They just get a room. And some people, that's perfect and that makes them happy. Other people are like, no, I just want to have my own place. I don't want to see anybody when I come home at night. So we have furnished bachelor or one-bedroom apartments available. In the mines, you get sometimes generational, so you get a father and son, or a grandfather, son, and grandson. So sometimes we have, you know, multiple units, or units with multiple bedrooms where they're furnished, but it means that as family members, you know, they'd rather just stay in the same place, just the two or three of them. So we've kind of catered to a variety. And then we have units, you know, we have some that are a little more dated, you know, you haven't put as much money in to fixing them up, all the way up to like really high-end units with, you know, brand new, fully renovated, like higher-end units. And when you have sort of that offering of services, I feel like you can sort of adjust with people as their lives change too. You know, you have a baby, you get a pet, you know, you need a bigger place, or, you know, you're downsizing, the kids leave, you want something smaller. Like, we can accommodate a lot of those changes and transitions that people go through.
Wow,
oh, that's so good. And you do have to be flexible in real estate, like always kind of adapting and kind of working with the market that's within your working. So that's great. Good on you.
Yeah, I have a friend who works for a local builder, Végé Construction in Ottawa, and he was saying they're really like reducing the footprint. He had buildings, they had 8 units per floor, and now they're going to be 14 on the same floor plate. So they're really adjusting Toronto size apartments for Ottawa because the cost is so high.
Market, really, like it's all about your clientele that you're going to be attracting. So I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
So you guys have been through a lot of transition in Ottawa with Airbnbs. Are you guys investing much in Airbnbs, or what's your main kind of go-to?
We're a little boring. We just do buy and we hold the place.
Well, I find that a buy and hold in Ottawa is great when you're able to do the BRRRR strategy, because then you can refinance and use that money. It's kind of like you have this little peon. How do you call that in English?
I'm not sure. A little
this little player on your team
on
that you're just using to refinance and invest elsewhere. Because it's going to keep being refinanced.
It's a cash cow, really. Yes. So some buildings we buy, we know we're not going to make money with it. It's, well, not directly. It's going to be a refinance play. And then you just keep buying in other markets using the Ottawa appreciation. But then, Airbnb, no. I know a lot of people
A lot of people make a lot of money in Ottawa with Airbnb. It's just, I don't think that's our thing. That's all.
like
And that's
I took
okay.
over.
Yeah. How about you? Are you Airbnb in Kirkland Lake or not really?
No, it's funny. I keep an eye on Airbnb, but I've only ever seen one place on Airbnb. Like it just, again, it's not this huge market. You know,
Yeah.
Kirkland Lake is actually very Facebook based, I find.
Yeah, small
So, you
town,
know,
it's difficult.
we've got rental. You know, there's Facebook groups like Apartments for Rent in Kirkland Lake. Like that's a Facebook group that people go to when they want to rent an apartment. Like we don't need, I mean, people advertise short term and long term. You know, there's a few property managers in town, and then you've got some of the smaller landlords. So it's not, definitely, it's been a bit of a challenge because, you know, we're the people from down south who came into town and, you know,
Yeah.
those kinds of things. So sometimes we're not looked as favorably upon, but I think it's really, I view it as an opportunity to get in and start doing some amazing things in a community and be able to turn things around and really establish a reputation for yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that you've probably improved a lot of the buildings that you own. Like I find that in a lot of the excuse me, markets where we invest, it's like it was like these older landlords, and there's nothing wrong with that, but that just never upkept the properties. Like
Yeah,
it's just
so
it's always status quo. The rents never went up, but nothing ever went into the buildings either. I don't know if that's how it is in Kirkland Lake, but
Yeah.
I find that once
like
you
a
take
breath of fresh air.
yeah, it's like a breath of fresh air exactly for the community because you're putting money into the property
Instead
and
of sucking it out.
improving people's lives, really.
Yeah. And the biggest challenge, and I've seen the debate in a lot of different places, is really helping people understand, you know, when you put money into a building, when you take a building that's in rough shape and you turn the units over and then you refinance it, there is a cost that comes with that.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a little bit about having to sort of educate, you know, people are saying, well, the cost of rent has gone up. Yeah, absolutely. The cost of rent has gone up. The cost of buying has gone up. The cost of water and taxes and utilities and everything else, the cost of materials has gone up. And in Ontario, you know, the increase that we were allowed in rents last year, let alone this year, didn't cover the increase in costs.
No, that's for sure. Well, I think
Yeah.
in 2021 we weren't even allowed to raise
No.
rents in Ontario, so
Exactly.
I'm hoping that they're going to be like holding off on raising taxes and water tax and
Maybe I used to have some employees when I had a job, and the lady was very wealthy, my employee, and she's like, oh, well, I take off what I don't want to pay from her taxes. She was wealthy enough she could choose not to pay certain things. So anyway, and she got away with it. I'm like, okay, good for you.
anyway,
That's pretty crazy.
another sideline.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Obviously you're doing this full time now?
Yes, I've been doing it full time since 2010. 2009, actually, I think I left my job. I was an insurance agent it was called State Farm, but now it's Desjardins.
Yeah, they took
Yes,
over.
okay, wow. Yeah, I remember that when they took over. We saw the whole changing from the red to the green.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you also do coaching, Elizabeth. Is it coaching for real estate investing or?
Mostly, yeah. Every once in a while, a lot of my coaching clients are couples, or they want to do this with their spouse, and one of them is really enthusiastic and one of them isn't. So I feel very blessed to be able to do what I do because I don't always just talk about real estate. I mean, certainly we can talk about, you know, the fundamentals and what to look for in each deal, but I think a lot of the value that I bring for my clients is talking about how to work with your spouse, because that's kind of like, there's no exact science for that. That's a bit of a unique thing. And that's something that, you know, my husband and I mean, we've had, you know, 12 years, 15 years working together in investment properties. So I feel like we've learned a few things along the way about what works and a few things more about what doesn't work.
Yeah, delegating, that's a challenge sometimes.
Well, I think that even if you're not investing in real estate as a couple, you kind of have to work off of each other's strengths and weaknesses. So I know that he is not the numbers guy, so I'm not going to run numbers off of him. Where I am not the details girl. I don't want to hear about all the little details. You know, I'd rather run the numbers and then get the big picture and then
not the feelings and those people.
I don't like getting into all those feelings, and you know, so I think that it's good. Like you said, it's almost an art working as a couple in real estate. So that's a good point.
Yeah.
And I think it's an art in any industry, but
Mhm.
I feel like with real estate, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of, whether it's from, agreeing on your initial strategy when you're starting out, figuring out your financing position, and being in business and being in real estate, it forces you to have conversations that I think a lot of couples might get away with either having like a really high level or not even touching on it. But, you can't avoid your finances when you're
No.
investing in real estate together, because if your finances are in the toilet, then you're not qualifying for properties.
No.
And even if you decide, okay, we need to work on our credit, or we need to do this, that, or the other thing right now, you want to definitely make sure that you're working on cleaning that up on the back end while you start putting the other pieces in place, like a joint venture partner or like private lending, right?
Yeah, that's
So I think it's important that you're able to communicate effectively, and that you're able to agree on a strategy and an end goal. Because if you don't have those pieces, it's going to be a challenge for sure to be able to get on the same page and grow at the pace that most people want to grow at.
Yeah,
right.
that's the thing. That's a big conversation we've been having for a while, is what pace do we want to grow at? And then sometimes I'm like, okay, I want 10 buildings. She's like, no, I want 2. And then she wants 10, I want 2. And then the other day she had a great reflection. She said, do you realize you don't even need to buy anymore? I'm like, yeah, you're right. We don't need to buy. So if we don't want to, we don't buy. So some people feel pressured, like you have to buy, but you get to that point where you don't need to. Like, it's nice, of course, but
It just takes off that extra pressure.
yeah, it needs to add to our lives. That's why we're gonna buy. If it doesn't, then
Yeah.
We're gonna move on to the next one.
yeah, we're moving on. So it's tough
And
though.
I think that's good, because I think there's a lot of investors who develop almost this hoarding mentality, where
Yeah,
it's like they buy a property and they can't let it go. It's funny that you're talking about this, because I'm actually doing a webinar next Monday with Mark Loeffler and Andrew Hines, and we're literally talking about, when do you let properties go? Like, when
yeah,
do you say, okay, this duplex, this triplex, it served me. I want to
yeah,
pull out the equity and I want to move on to some other stuff. I need a challenge. And I've sort of been reflecting on that recently too, in that I'm going, I need a new challenge in real estate. Like, I need something more, because I feel like I kind of got this, and I have this amazing team with me who have my back, and I'm like, I need a challenge. I need something more.
yeah. Oh,
That's
that's
so
awesome.
interesting. Yes, it's a great place to be, like you said.
Yeah, we're getting there too.
Absolutely.
We're divesting a few properties to focus on markets that you can actually have, you can talk to your tenants and raise their rent and stuff. Because, hey, I fixed this and I can raise your rent and we're all in
Yeah.
agreement. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Tell us your best real estate tip or story.
Cool. My best real estate tip is actually, one of my staff, April, just messaged. That's awesome. Um, my best real estate tip is, forget about what everybody else is doing and keep your eyes in your, like, keep focused, keep the blinders on, focus on what you want to achieve, what you want to accomplish, and don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Don't worry about, the shiny, pretty cars that are on Facebook, and, this person who looks like they have this and looks like they do that. You have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. Just focus on yourself. And the first step, I believe, in real estate is education.
Yeah,
Because when you haven't educated yourself, when you're not confident in running numbers, when you don't know how to analyze properties, or you're unsure about how to determine a good market to invest, that's the time I find when you can make some of the most costly mistakes.
yeah,
That's the
Oh,
time when it's more critical, especially when you don't have the network to support you and no, whoa, like, what are you doing here? This is not, you need to think about this.
yeah. I
yeah.
see so many young new investors and they post what they're buying. I'm like, whoa, that's really not a good place to invest. I've
Hmm.
seen that place, and yeah, just
Mhm.
like, of course, you need to have a fresh eye and see potential where others don't, but
Yeah.
you have to be careful as well. Like, there are limits
It's
to
kind of a
things.
double-edged sword.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mhm. Absolutely.
So are you only investing in Kirkland Lake, or you said you do a little bit of flips in the GTA? Are you investing in other markets as well?
So we have a number of properties in St. John, New Brunswick that we bought in 2010, 2011-ish. And then we also, with my rent-to-own company, I also do rent-to-owns in a number of markets across Ontario, sort of the stronger ones, the ones where it makes sense. You know, rent-to-owns in small communities don't always make sense. You just don't have the appreciation. Rent-to-owns in Toronto are a challenge because ridiculous prices. So the niche market where rent-to-owns really make sense is not everywhere, but it's definitely, when you find the right markets, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, you almost have to find like a little bit outside of the bigger markets, but maybe not quite secondary markets, but a market and a half. Can we say that?
A market and a half. That's so cute. I like that. I'm going to have to give you credit for that when I use it in the future.
Yeah, there you go.
1.5. That's awesome. So rent to own, you've done a lot of variety, and now you're bored. Okay.
You're gonna have to find a new
strategy. Build in the North Pole, or
build in the North Pole, or
something floating, or something underwater.
Yeah, underwater houses, or you can go with Elon Musk on Mars.
Mars, yeah, that's gonna be cheap to buy.
I love watching, you know, people like the Collards who are doing development, and I love watching that, and I think, you know, in the future that's probably where I'd like to go too. I definitely have some friends of mine who, like I have friends in London, Paula and Jake, and their quality of their work is just phenomenal. Like, I know I could work with them, and they would just build the most phenomenal buildings. So I definitely have people that, you know, I'd like to do some partnership, and I'd like to do some work. It's just a little bit sort of waiting for the right time and the right opportunity to surface. So
that's definitely the case in real estate. You have to make sure that the timing is right for a lot of the things that you do.
Yeah, timing. Yeah. So no, absolutely.
The other thing. Sorry, I was just going to say the other thing that I think is really important is finding the right people to surround yourself with.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to be able to trust that the people that I hired, that they had, that I could let go because they had it. And it's not an easy thing to do, but it is so amazing to watch when you have someone who you've hired and you've worked with them and they've learned and they've trained, and then to watch, you know, as they take their job and their responsibilities and they do it better than you ever imagined, better than you would have done. And that's such a great feeling. I have a new VA who I'm working with. Well, I say new, but we've been working together like 8 months. And watching her and the way that she learns skills and the aptitude that she has, like, she literally does things for my business that, you know, we have a CRM to be able to make sure that we communicate consistently with people. And she knows how to operate that thing inside and out. She's amazing. And I just kind of sit here and watch her, and I'm like, you're such a gift, because I don't have the time or the drive to learn how to do what you're doing, and you're just doing an amazing job. And when you have people like that around you, it enables you to let go and to be able to move on to bigger things that, you know, fulfill you.
Yeah, you have to work where you add value.
Well, that's it. That's the whole Andrew Hines. I know you mentioned him, though. So usually, where do you add value? So I've been thinking about that, and Jennifer as well. Like, where am I most valuable? And it's not in accounting. So I'm useless. Maybe I can be on the scanner or something. I'm good with that. It's the relationships, and then Jennifer, has that.
More the numbers. But there has been a few times where I've been just so in the numbers, and then François has that fresh look, and he's like, oh, what if we did that? And I'm like, really? That came from you?
So, yeah.
I think it's interesting that you're so good with numbers, because there are so many women in real estate who doubt their abilities, myself included. Like, when we started in real estate, my husband's an engineer, and I was terrified of the numbers. I'm like, what if I make a mistake? What happens if I don't understand? And I think that, you know, I like you a lot, Francois, but as a female in real estate, there are times where we definitely undervalue ourselves and our skills, and I think we need to do a good job of supporting each other as females in an industry that was predominantly, you know, males up until, I don't know, what do you say, 20 years ago, females started becoming more active, and more, the classroom started becoming more balanced between males and females?
Yeah, I would definitely say that there's more females in the last 20 years for sure.
Yeah, and it's just concept. I guess I was brought up in a unusual household. My dad did the cooking and the housekeeping and the laundry and all of that. And my mom came home and she put her feet up and said, "What's for dinner?" So the whole male-female thing, I'm always shocked. I'm like, that's even a question, but I see it now with my daughter and Jennifer at her work. She's a facilities manager. So she gets these plumbers who come in and say, "Hey, you don't know anything about this." Like, "Oh yeah," and then she shows them
Atta girl.
this and that part. I'm like, okay, that's perfect. I don't mind that she knows how to fix
Yeah,
the toilet.
sometimes tradespeople don't want to speak with me because I'm a woman. They'll be like speaking with my colleague.
Or me, I don't know anything.
Yeah, my
about
colleague or François comes to my work and they'll be talking to him. He's like, "I don't even work here."
It's so bad.
You know, I think that's such an interesting thing. I think that's such an opportunity for you because they've clearly underestimated you. So the biggest surprises and sometimes the best things come from when people underestimate you and your abilities.
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
that's so true.
It's like shopping for properties and stuff. I know, like, more and more we don't even go and see the places ourselves. But when you're starting out, like if you show up with a big fancy car, then they think, okay, they have big bucks. But you show up with an old car, like I have a nice 2011 Versa with a bit of rust on it. I show up at all my deals with that, and then you're like, "Oh, you can't afford it." "Oh yeah, that's perfect." The price goes down. But I send like VAs and other people to, well, we don't send them, but virtually and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite deal? Like, if you had like this one deal, do you have a deal that was your favorite or that you got the most out of or was the most fun?
Well, I think any deals that I do with partners, I love doing because, you know, different partners, different personalities, seeing them come together. I do have a deal that I love talking about. That it wasn't my deal, it was my husband's deal. But it's just such a funny, unique story. And this is one of the advantages to sort of being, you know, a bit of a bigger fish in a smaller pond because people kind of get to know you and they approach you. So we had a lady who came in and she brought us the keys and she put them on her desk and we're like, on my husband's desk, and we're like, "Well, what's going on?" And she's like, "I want you to buy my house." My husband's like, "Okay, what's going on?" She said, "Well, I have a tenant in there. It's completely hoarded. It's a mess. It's terrible. I can't do it anymore. I want you to buy my house." So we got talking with her and we started talking about like, how much do you want for it and da-da-da. Anyways, it turns out that she was not able to take a cash for it. Like, we couldn't just pay her for it because that would impact some of her other income sources. So what we ended up doing was we bought her a car.
Okay.
So we gave her a small chunk of cash and we bought her a used car. And let me tell you, the financing on a used car is a heck of a lot easier to qualify for than the financing on the house. So we bought this house for like $35,000, and we worked with the gentleman who was in there. We got him into, you know, a home that was better geared towards his current physical abilities, and then, you know, we cleaned out the house. We took out all the stuff and cleaned it all up, and you know, just going through something like that, like the ability to be completely creative.
Yeah.
When you're buying properties is one of the things I love the most. And that's what I think a lot of real estate investors forget is they think that we have, you know, these lines and this box that we have to function within. And the reality is, if we do a good job of listening to what the seller's needs are, usually that's where we can start getting creative. Because if your need is, you know, something over here that's out of the norm, other than I need the cash out of my property immediately, then we can start talking about some different creative strategies. So, you know, whether it's a vendor take back, or whether it's, you know, reapplying or redeploying their equity, or, you know, utilizing the seller's RRSPs to finance part of the, like, there's all kinds of options. And it really comes down to how well we're listening to what people's needs are.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. I would have never thought of buying a used car to get a house.
I just love it. So my car can go now. If you want to find a deal, they can have it free. So we have a question from one of our listeners. So I'm not sure how to say his name, but will you invest in Ontario by considering current overheated market? Numbers don't make sense now a lot of places. So question for you, I guess, Elizabeth. Do you invest in Ontario?
Is that the case though in Kirkland Lake? I think that you had kind of mentioned that the
Cash
price,
flow.
that the cash flow, the numbers work. Is it a hot
Yeah,
market?
the numbers still work in Kirkland Lake. The prices are definitely going up, but the numbers still work. The thing we have to keep in mind is that real estate is always a cycle. Like, it's going to trend upwards. It's not like real estate is a static line. It's always a cycle, and it's going upwards. This happens to be a time when it's really hot. And quite frankly, if you can't make money in a hot market in real estate, then you really need to go back and do some education, because most people should be making rent money right now. The challenges will come when the market starts to cool, when the interest rates start to go back up, and we're starting to readjust to this new higher level of expenses. Because I don't for a second think that the cost of building supplies or anything else is going to miraculously decrease. That the market's cooling off, let's drop the price of lumber by 40%. Like, overall, especially with the way the government's printing money, prices of everything are just going to go up. So I personally feel that investors who have good decision-making practices and they've done a good job educating themselves, I feel like we can find opportunities, we can make opportunities, and we can put deals together no matter what's going on in the market right now. And is it a challenge? Absolutely. But I believe that the best deals come from the relationships you build. You're not going to find the best deal on MLS. You're just not. They're not there. Your best deals will come from the networking you do, the people you connect with, and the way that you listen to people, and the way that you can come back to them, 2 months later and say, hey, listen, when you were talking about this, I really heard you and I listened to you, and I think I have a solution now that might meet your needs. What do you think? That's where the value comes from.
Together,
Yeah.
the opportunity and the need. Yeah, it's all about sales. I was in sales for years, so you see what's the pain point and find a need, fill a need. That's all it really is. Like you mentioned, some people don't want cash because it's gonna hurt their bottom line or hurt their income tax this year. They want it next year.
Buy them a car and trade it in for the house. Why not?
That's the best one ever. I haven't heard that before, but that's great.
Yeah, but I'm still amazed that we are still able to find deals in Ontario.
Yeah.
Even though that the
Even
markets
Ottawa.
are hot. I was like, just the other day we were analyzing a deal. I'm like, wow, this is like, it could be such an easy flip, and you could make 150,000 like in a few months.
Like this.
I was like, wow, I didn't think that was still possible.
But it is, it's really mindset, and again, like you said, the networking. Who do you know? Who knows you, and what you're looking at, and
yes, exactly.
And education, like you said, that I hear that in podcasts all the time. If you had to start all over, what would you do? Or if you lost everything, what would you start up with again? So it's education. So yeah, we totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
I think too, there's definitely sort of a group of people out there who are very disparaging for, education companies, coaches, those kinds of things. And they're not for everyone, but I think that there's tremendous value. And, you sort of hear that saying, oh, those who can't do teach. But
my dad was a teacher, so yeah, I like teachers.
I love teaching. I love coaching. I don't do it because I have nothing else to do. I do it because my time as a trainer, I spent 8 years as a trainer for Rich Dad Canada, and that was my passion. Like, I was doing real estate, but that was what lit me up. When I knew I had a 3-day course coming up, I was so excited, and I hate flying. I would get on a plane and fly to Vancouver or fly to Calgary because I love teaching more than I hated flying.
Wow.
Oh, wow, that's so cool.
And you got from the students and seeing, I guess, the growth and.
Yeah, like looking back now and connecting with some of my students, they come and say, I was in your classroom 5 years ago, this is what I've done. Wow. Or watching, my students on Facebook or my coaching clients, it's so rewarding. Like, it's more fulfilling to me than any of the deals that I've done to watch people. And, 5 years later, they message me and they say, this is my last day at work.
Oh,
I'm like, that's incredible. Like, who could ask for a better win than that? I think sometimes in real estate, we get so distracted by, what this person's Facebook says or the other social media stuff. We forget that, our main job should be to serve others. to support others, to share knowledge, to, you know, enhance everybody's quality of life. I don't know. There's more to this, to me, than just money. Making money is not enough for me.
No,
That's so
no,
true.
no, it's, yeah, I saw my grandparents were very wealthy, but they lived very poorly because they had bad relationships, and all that mattered was money. It's really bad to say, but, and my other grandmother was very poor, but she was very wealthy and kind and like giving, and it felt like she was richer. So yeah, it's not money. That's really not why we're in it either.
Yeah.
It's not money. It's the freedom and helping, definitely. Yeah, and building your dream and other people's dreams, like you said, is giving back.
I think it's amazing when we can help a partner get closer to their goal, help someone just have that aha moment where they're like, oh, didn't think about that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you see, they just go to it and they end up having success doing whatever it is they're doing. It doesn't matter. But I think that's great, encouraging other people, like you said, to achieve things that they wouldn't have achieved otherwise.
And building the confidence as well to do it, to try and to ask things that you think are crazy, like offering a car for a house.
It's what she wanted. She needed a car.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we're never going to get over that one. So you had touched on it a little bit, but what do you kind of see going into 2021 for yourself and kind of in the real estate investing world?
That's a very big question.
Yes.
There's an awful lot of things that we could talk about. We could talk about, you know, the market. We could talk about, you know, what it looks like for investors. We could talk about interest rates. Is there something in particular that you would like to focus on?
So you as a person, what do you care about that's going to happen in 2021 that you see, like something very important? Like for us, there's certain things, I don't know, for our kids, it matters a lot or whatever, something like that, more personal and investing, but personal, semi, I don't know.
That was specifically unspecific.
That's totally me.
That's so funny. I'd like to keep doing more of what I'm doing. You know, there's a lot of people, you know, COVID has been extremely challenging for a lot of people, and I don't in any way want to diminish, you know, everyone's experience and what they're going through. I find the past year more than anything, you know, you sort of think, okay, as you get older, you know, you get wiser, but I don't think it happens instinctively. I think you have to put energy into it, and I've spent a lot of time on my personal development over the last year, from, you know, hiring a high performance coach to you know, podcasts and learning and networking. Like with COVID right now, you really have to make an effort to expand your network. Like you can't sit at home. Well, I guess you can sit at home on social media and expand your network, but you're not developing quality relationships that way. And one of the coolest questions I think I've started asking that has been incredibly rewarding for me is, every time I'm wrapping up an interaction with someone, in some way, shape, or form, I'm asking, how can I help you? Awesome. You know, when I do a podcast for someone, you know, at the end, my question is, how can I help you grow your business? You know, how can I help you reach more people? And just that, asking that question, it's amazing that what you learn about people and about how people's minds work, and the way it kind of opens things up. I've been focusing a lot on Brene Brown. Do you know who that is? Brene Brown?
The name, yeah, but no, I forget. No.
She's a vulnerability researcher out of the U.S., and her podcasts and the guests that she interviews are just epic. Like, I listen and then I'm like, okay, now I got to tell somebody about that, because I need to go back and listen to it again with someone so that we can talk about what she talked about on her podcast.
Wow.
That's
like
cool.
It's just some of the ideas, some of the concepts. I feel like, you know, everybody talks about, oh, high school was the best time, or oh, your 20s were the best time.
No.
I don't think so. For me, it's my best time is right now.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to more of that.
So there you go. Awesome. That was a personal / investment question.
Yeah, but that was a great way to answer that question.
It was.
People usually do talk about the interest rates and kind of what they see going on in the market.
I'm tired of that.
Yeah.
It's going to go up and down. There you go, covered.
Yeah. It always goes up and down. That's kind of the only directions it can go, up and down. What mistake do you see most beginners do? What kind of mistake kind of is reoccurring?
And it's irritating. It's like on a chalkboard.
Well, there's almost two approaches to real estate. So one is the one who educates,
Definitely.
and really has a tough time taking action. Is literally paralyzed with fear at the idea that they might make a mistake that they won't recover from. Because quite honestly, like anybody planning to, you know, get from now until when they die without making another mistake, like it's not reality. Imagine that. Imagine if we were like, okay, so I can't make another mistake for the rest of my life. Like that's not realistic at all. So we're better off kind of going, okay, I might make some mistakes, but I can figure it out. You know, I have confidence that I will be able to figure it out and get through this. So there's that sort of analysis paralysis, educated but not taking action. But then you have the other, you know, kind of group of people who are starting out and at the other end of the spectrum who are like, I'm just going to take massive action. And you're like, on what? And they're like, I don't know, but I'm going to do it.
They just wing it.
Oh my goodness,
You
yeah.
jump off the plane and hope for the best. And hope for your
Exactly.
at the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's important, you know, looking back on my journey when my husband and I took the Rich Dad courses in 2008, 2009, we had 18 doors. So we had started investing, we'd started taking action, we knew this is what we wanted to do, but we knew we were doing it the wrong way. We were buying condos, we were buying everything in our personal names, we were just, you know, managing ourselves, we're going over on the weekends and like cutting the lawns and shoveling the snow, and, you know, we're just kind of, okay, well, you know, how much do we think a rental will be? 60,000, that's what we're going to spend. Like, can you do what you need to do with 60,000? I don't know, but we'll figure it out. So I think that there is definitely a balance between educating yourself, you know, gathering knowledge, whether it's, you know, attending, you know, live events or, you know, tuning into discussions like this or reading books or whatever it is. There's a balance between that and taking action. And I think they kind of have to go hand in hand, because otherwise you reach a point of maximum saturation with knowledge, but you haven't taken any action and you're literally paralyzed by fear.
Yeah,
that's so true. I find you almost have to educate yourself a bit and then take a bit of action, and then educate yourself a bit and take a bit of action, and just kind of go up like that.
And your projects grow like you as well. You started with condos and a bit smaller, and then it grows, and now you're bored, so you need something bigger, but that might require a little bit of educating or research or something, and then you can grow to the next level. So oh, that's amazing.
That's great.
I think people, you know, they spend so much time avoiding mistakes. My goal isn't to avoid making mistakes. It's to avoid making the same mistake twice.
Yeah.
That to me is more important.
Well, and a lot of mistakes can be mitigated in real estate. Let's say you bought not the right kind of investment property. Well, what kind of exit strategies do you have in place? Whereas if it's not great, you maybe not make any money, but you might not lose any either. And
most strategies, you know, if you can batten down the hatches and hang on, the market is trending upwards. So, you know, you go and you try and do a flip, and then you figure out you can't sell it for what you have into it, and you don't want to take the loss on it. And you say, okay, what's my next thing? Well, my next thing is I'd like to put a tenant buyer in here and turn this into a rent to own. Awesome. Give me a call. I'll help you do that. Or you say, you know what, I want to put a straight tenant in here. Okay, great. You know, find a local property manager and run that and figure out the numbers. I mean, if you're in a situation where you're going to lose, you know, $200,000 by selling a property, then don't sell it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, refinance it. if you can, or put some private lending in place or whatever you need to do, but get it to a point where it's stable and consistent. And most people, okay, it might cost you $300 a month from your rental income, and you might not be leaving as fast as you wanted to, but there's a difference. Most of us can get by with a $300 or $400 a month loss versus 100 or 200,000.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
much bigger.
Big difference.
The amortization isn't the same. Let's just say. So we have a comment from Echo Investment. Hi, Elizabeth, one of the best coaches ever. She taught me how to RU. I'm not sure what is RU. I guess rent to own. I'm not sure. Anyway.
Oh, how to turn my REI to biggest success ever.
Okay, we need glasses.
Yeah, sorry. I think
I need glasses.
He needs the glasses. So.
Oh. That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, someone who knows you. So yeah,
So it wasn't a question; it was a comment.
But the next one's a question: how to turn my REI?
No, he just finished what he was writing. He or she, I don't know. Echo Investment.
That's so nice. Thank you for logging in and saying that. I really appreciate it. Oh, Danuja. Yeah. Oh, hi, Danuja. That's awesome. I'm so glad.
That's so cool. That's great that she's actually listening.
Yeah.
So can you let everyone know where they can find you if they want to
get
some coaching or just know a little bit more about you or what you're doing? How can they get a hold of you?
For sure. You can easily find me on Facebook. That's my preferred social media. This is my first time doing an Instagram interview, and it actually turned out really well, so I'm quite happy. But yeah, Facebook is usually Elizabeth Kelly. You can find my personal account, or you can find my business account. Send me a message. You can also email elizabeth@ekconsulting.ca. And of course, I have a website, a new website that'll be launching in the next couple of weeks. So I'm really excited about that too. So people can go to elizabethkelly.ca ekconsulting.ca, and you'll be able to find me there.
Amazing.
Oh, that's great. That's exciting. A new website.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. So do you have any final advice that you'd like to give the people that are watching?
Final advice.
Drink your smoothie.
You already gave some great advice, but any last words?
I think one of the biggest determining factors from all my years of working with students and clients is mindset is everything. And if you think you can, you can. And if you think you can't, you won't. So surround yourself with amazing people who believe in you, even in the times where you won't believe in yourself. And lean on those people. Don't be afraid to ask for help, to ask for support, to ask for ideas, or to ask for guidance, because none of us as real estate investors got here on our own. Every single one of us, we read, we learned, we were students. Whether it was a formal mentorship or a coach, or Danuja says, listen to your coach and be open to change. Absolutely. Yeah. That's hard for a lot of people. There's people who are like, yeah, I want a coach. And then, they come to someone for coaching and they are looking for validation that they're right. And I think, be a sponge, be open, and really listen to what the people around you are telling you and sharing with you if they're the right people. You'll know you're right people because your gut will tell you if they're the right ones.
Yeah, that's really good advice, actually, because it's so important to surround yourself with people that are going to encourage you in your
build you up,
your journey. So that's great.
Yeah.
Those are perfect final words.
Awesome.
Thank you. Well, I've so enjoyed this. It's so nice because Francois, we met at OREC last February, so we met like a year ago.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, it's a while.
I know it's been such an influential conference. It's too bad this year it didn't happen, but. I met so many awesome people at that conference. Tony Miller, thank you for hosting it. I don't think he's on here now, but anyway, maybe he'll hear this at some point. But Tony and Sue, it was just amazing, and it's just kind of launched me into many things. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, thank you. It was great, and I think we'll enjoy some more smoothies after.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, our glasses are empty, but
our glasses are empty.
Refill.
Maybe we'll do smoothie and real estate instead of wine and real estate.
Yeah.
Sure, whatever works for you. You be you. I won't judge, I promise.
Exactly.
We like our wine too much, sorry.
Yes.
And I only started drinking at 35. I didn't like wine before then, but it's a new.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Only in the past 5 years that I've started enjoying it. Now it's a passion. I love it.
So what happened to flip that switch for you? I'm always interested because I can't stand the taste of wine.
I hated the taste of wine as well. I went to a really boring networking event. It was awful. And then they served wine and I started 2 glasses. I was like,
Yes,
oh, I
and
never
I was
drink.
always upset because I wasn't really drinking wine all that often because I liked wine, but I was drinking it by myself. So it's not as much fun. And he comes home and he's like, I want to drink some wine.
You were like, you are my soulmate. Perfect.
But you start
So
with
you just have to go to a bad
networking event. Yeah, it was really, really, really boring beyond belief. And I'm like, well, let's drink this and see if it's more fun. And anyway,
liven it up a little.
Start with
Good
sweeter
for you.
wines, normally like white or something like a Jose, and then you build up the reds and stuff. So yeah, I'm not sure.
Wow.
Depends what you eat as well before and after. It makes a big difference.
Yes.
And it's not for everybody. I thought I'd never drink wine. Like I don't drink coffee, so I don't enjoy coffee or caffeine.
I'm still hoping for the coffee.
But wine, yeah, wine now I love. Like, I don't know, picking the grape and then tasting it and all the story behind it. And anyway, it's just fun.
That's awesome. That's such a cute story. I like that. You only started liking wine 5 years ago. Maybe there's hope for me yet then.
Maybe,
Yeah, there
yeah.
you go. You're still young.
Yeah, that's true. Young at heart anyways.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, and thank you for everyone who's watching. And get in contact with Elizabeth if you want a good coach who I think who would give you a little
kick in the butt.
kick in the
butt.
I like that.
A little one.
It's good. Sometimes you need it. Sometimes I like that. Just some people you call them and they're really gonna kick you in the butt and get you to move. So I think you're one of those. So it's very
Thank
good.
you. And thank you so much for asking me to come and join you. I really appreciate it. It's been lovely to chat with you and get to know you better. So let me ask you, what can I do for you guys? How can I support you this year in your journey?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, that almost feels. When you said that earlier, I'm like, is she gonna ask us that? Because I'm not sure.
I'm not prepared.
I think it's just networking with more people that.
Yeah, we need to amp up our networking game. Like we only do maybe 2 or 3 virtual events per week, so now we need to ramp it up.
But I think it's kind of like quality. Like I feel like I know you.
Yeah.
I can ask you questions and kind of get to know you more. I think that's something that we're kind of missing more lately is kind of
the depth of relationships.
To know more
virtual.
People. Like not on the surface. Like, hey, how's it going? Oh, you're
nice
a real
hair.
estate investor.
Something more in depth and what do you need? What's your goal? So like your question is very, very telling. So it's hard to do. Like I work very closely with the right club. We do networking, but the virtual thing is still tough. Like we don't have goggles yet and we don't feel like we're in a room and with people, so it's not the same connection. So,
no, absolutely.
Suggestions, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, if there's anything I can do in the future to support you guys, you just let me know. Reach out. You know where to find me. So I'm more than happy if if I can facilitate introductions or if we can meet up. That would be. I mean, we just came out of lockdown today up here in Northern Ontario. So I don't know. Are you guys still in lockdown?
Yeah, we just came out of lockdown. We're in Orange.
Today, are we Tuesday or when? No, we're Tuesday. Yes, it was today. Because I work from home, it feels like everything is always.
Every day's a lockdown.
I'm still locked in. Help me, save me.
I'm not letting him out.
Good for you, smart lady.
Yeah.
Have a good night, Elizabeth, and thank you so much. We will take you up on that offer.
Yes.
All right, that sounds great. Take care, guys. All the best, and thanks so much for everyone who joined us, Danuja, and everybody else. Really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.